The number one reason I see people not get hired, and the number one reason I look at something and I'm immediately like, okay, I'm gonna have a really hard time placing this person, getting them a contract, is because they are too junior and they lack attention to detail and they lack quality. Okay, so just for some context, I've been running a software development company over the last 3 years. I've made hires, I've fired people, I've hired contractors, I've hired agencies, and companies have hired me, and I've been a freelancer myself, and you know, I work all around this development space. And so I have a thing or two to say about, basically, I see a lot of people who reach out and they say like, oh, I keep getting rejected, I can't find a job, and they struggle with that. And recently I have started doing developer placement. So if you are a contractor or a freelancer, the form in the description as well for this, but I basically, like, if a company needs a contractor or a freelancer, we help them source them, vet them, manage, not manage, but help train and things like that, and kind of have this talent community that we help link up to contracts. Now, you know, this is something relatively recent that I've put together, and you know, I look at the database and I look at the talent database, and sometimes I click on portfolios and immediately I know, like, I'm not, like, this person is not going to get hired very easily. And the reality is, it is because, like, sometimes you just need more attention to detail. It's not always just about price. It is also about quality. And I say this specifically for junior developers. Junior developers especially, I think there's overall a lack of attention to detail. So I'm focused specifically on React developers. This is our bread and butter, at least right now for the placements that we do. And there is a great course called a React G course. I recommend, if you're a React developer, do it, buy it. I know that it's a little bit expensive, but it is so worth it. I think it's really, really good. And like, actually do it and train yourself and get really good. And like, become actually very knowledgeable about the small ins and outs of React, about how hooks work, about, you know, like the different default React hooks that exist, and what, you know, how you make your own, how you can structure a code base cleanly, how to advise on architecture and things like that. And the way you get better at that is really by practicing as well. It's just like, make more projects, keep making them, you will get better. But sometimes I open up some portfolios. You know what? I'm gonna do one right now. I found another GitHub profile with some guy who's quoting, can't see. I don't know what how much hourly he's quoting, but he's got a lot of repositories. In 2024, he has a total of 5 contributions in his GitHub. 5 contributions. The last thing he updated was on July 30th. Seems full stack developer in a bunch of languages, blah blah blah, but it's like, this is it's an empty GitHub profile. How am I meant to look at that and think, yes, this looks good, this is somebody I want to hire, this is somebody I want on my team? But 5 contributions on GitHub. Listen, if you work on a private repository, fine. There's a setting on GitHub that you can turn on, which will show your private contributions in your public profile. It won't show which repository, it won't name it, but it will show those contributions. Like, there's no activity. There are some good ones, but like, if you were wondering, oh, how do I get more experience if I don't have, you know, how do I get more experience if I can't get a job? Well, I will say this for programming, it does not apply for all other things, but programming is the kind of thing that you can do yourself. You can build something by yourself with an internet connection. Like, you can build projects on the side. And so if you want to get good at something, just do lots of it. Do it again and again and again and again. Like, it's just, that's what it comes down to. And in the meantime, obviously, like, do your best to like improve and constantly upskill, and look at building, like, build a project that somebody else made, but try and do it slightly better, and look at the details. Like, the details, I cannot stress this enough. The details are so important. The number of times I see people who make something and it just looks ugly and it looks off because the details are not properly taken care of. I'm talking about the small things that you don't think about. The border radius has to match the border radius on the other thing. Like, don't give me something that's slightly different. I'm gonna notice and I'm gonna immediately say, this guy doesn't have high standards. It's the box shadow. It's got to be crisp. This is specifically for front end things, right? For back end, it's a little bit different, but it's like paying attention to code structure, how you organize your files, how you name things. Is this something that I can read through and actually make sense of, or am I going to read through this and have a lot of trouble maintaining this code? Can I give your code to another developer and can he build on top of that easily? Like, do you organize things? Do you learn about the flow? Like, are you organizing data flow as optimally as you can? These kinds of things. Like, I think a lot of people neglect to learn about those. It's the number one reason that when I look at like this list of developers, the biggest reason why I say no, this is going to be a hard time to find a job for this person. It's because the quality is just not there. Anyway, I hope that was useful. I know that can seem a little bit harsh, but I do say it in a spirit of trying to help people. Like, I think you have to work on yourself. You have to notice where you can improve. That's the only way to get better. And that's what we're all doing. Like, I know for a fact that I am so incompetent at a lot of things myself. And so I really don't mean this at anybody personally. I'm just saying in general, I see sometimes people who are very demanding and they complain that they can't get a job, but I don't see them like working to upskill themselves. And like, are they actually putting in the work every day to get better at their craft? Sometimes no. And so I do apologize if, if it comes off a little bit harshly. But it is true. Like, we need to continuously push to get better. And I think sometimes people forget that and they get complacent and they complain about that they don't get jobs. Anyway, do comment if you have any other questions, but that's a wrap on today's week.